Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. And this week on the show, we're covering the CIA spying and WikiLeaks. I'm Patrick Ryan, joined by Dennis Cheney. Hi, Dennis Cheney.
Hello, Patrick Ryan.
Oh, man. So you were really nice to me last week. You didn't stress me out. And so I thought I would reward that with something that's probably going to stress you out a lot.
Oh, never again, Patrick. Will you get a week off?
Hey, I said we were going to do like a government conspiracy this week, and there's something. I mean, WikiLeaks, we've talked about how we're going to talk about it, but in all our stuff, we haven't really touched on it that much.
No, we've never done a straight WikiLeaks episode.
And I feel like I've been wanting to kind of like set the table with all of this stuff that's been happening since like the 40s and the 50s, kind of leading up into the 90s. And now we're going to talk about something that's happened in the last 20 years and is pretty recent.
I'm excited, man. I'm a fan of WikiLeaks. I like what they do.
I really do too, and I hope they get to continue. It's been a few years since the last drop that they did. So
Julian Assange is in prison, I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting into so much of that. We're just going to talk about the latest information dump that happened a few years ago.
I'm ready.
At some point, we could do a backstory on all of them. Would probably be awesome to put together. But I did pretty good. I found I didn't sprawl out into 5 different topics on this. Like, it actually came together in like the first try. This was just a fun, anxiety-riddled time of research.
Well, that's what I need right now, man.
Well, let me provide that for you. Before we get to all that, I guess we should say thank you to all our listeners and viewers on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. We're appreciating all the likes, the comments, you sharing it. It's been really fun interacting with you guys, so keep that up. We're getting some emails coming in about potential interviews for the Cryptic Experiences part of the show.
Yes.
And I'm really enjoying reading about those. I think we've got maybe our next couple that are coming together. If you haven't checked that out yet, go back and check out Cryptic Experiences, where we had a paranormal experience, several paranormal experiences with our guest that was on that, Laura. So yeah, I think that about covers everything.
Let's WikiLeak to it.
Let's WikiLeak this up. So, the largest theft of data in CIA history happened in 2016 because a specialized unit within the agency was so focused on building cyber weapons that an employee took advantage of what was later described in official documents as woefully lax security and gave secret hacking tools to WikiLeaks, according to an internal report released in June of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we started finding out about, I'm going to go over kind of what happened in 2016, 2017, but all of this kind of new information just came out over the summer in 2020. This new report that got put together.
I was unaware of this. I guess there was nothing going on this summer too, so I don't know how I could have missed it.
Yeah, don't know how we got distracted between a pandemic, a rise in like UFO sightings, and yeah. I don't know how you missed it, Dennis. Busy watching baseball, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So the hacking tools stolen in the breach came from the CIA's clandestine Center for Cyber Intelligence, CCI. The amount of data actually stolen is unknown, the memo says, but could be as much as 34 terabytes of data.
That's a lot of data.
Well, if you don't know that, it'd be about the equivalent of 2.2 billion with a B pages of text, just plain text.
Oh, man.
Which, if you don't know how memory works in computers, text does not eat up a lot of space. But yeah, that many pages, I guess, is what it would translate to.
Man, no wonder nobody's ever gone through probably all the stuff they have. I mean,
yeah. And this is just from this one thing in WikiLeaks. Like, this isn't even all of WikiLeaks. This is just this one section of stuff that happened within this, like, super. It's basically CIA hacking, is what it is. You're going to find out as we go into this. So the theft was revealed around a year after it happened. So in March of 2017, when WikiLeaks published what it claimed was the largest trove of CIA documents. They dubbed it Vault 7, detailing some of the agency's sophisticated cyber weapons. It was called Vault 7 because the release began March 7th, 2017. So that incident prompted a review by the CIA WikiLeaks task force, which I did not even know was a thing.
It better be.
The WikiLeaks task force was created to focus on the immediate impact of the release of information when all this started in 2010. Quote, one issue is whether the agency's ability to recruit informants could be damaged by declining confidence in the US government's ability to keep secrets. That was in the report.
Yeah, we don't seem very good at that lately.
The task force submitted its findings in an October 2017 report to then director Mike Pompeo and his deputy, who is now the director, Gina Haspel. So in the report, it was stated, quote, failure to recognize or act in a coordinated fashion on warning signs that a person or persons with access to CIA classified information posed an unacceptable risk to national security. While the CIA declined to comment on any specific report, agency spokesperson Timothy Barrett told CNN, quote, CIA works to incorporate best-in-class technologies to keep ahead of and defend against ever-evolving threats.
Well, you're not doing a great job, although I'd love to see the UFO documents eventually.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure they have access to all that or have their own thing going on, but these guys, this particular group is just about hacking things, essentially. If it's electronic, this group wants to get into it, is essentially what their job is.
I like that it took them 6 months to do a report, and like the thing they found was, we failed to keep the information secure. It's like, okay.
No resolution to that, just, yeah, man.
No specifics like who it was, just we failed.
Some stuff went missing, you guys, and in our 6 months, we're pretty definite. Some stuff went missing. Where did it go? We don't know. Who took it? It could have been a lot of people. But what we do know is some very advanced hacking technology is just out in the general public right now.
Oh.
Cool. So the report released in June was heavily redacted, but clearly states that the breach came as a result of a series of security shortcomings that, quote, over years that too often prioritized creativity and collaboration at the expense of security.
Oh, well, you don't say.
You know, it's hard to be creative when I have to like write my own passwords and kind of keep my own files. It's just way easier when there's a main server for the hundreds of people that work here, and we can just all get into each other's files and stuff. That seems like a secure way to do this, right? Right. So, in a press to meet growing and critical mission needs, CCI had prioritized building cyber weapons at the expense of securing their own systems. Day-to-day security practices had become woefully lax, the report said. The task force memo was released by Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon on the Senate Intelligence Committee, who obtained an incomplete, redacted version from the Justice Department. In a letter to the new Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, Wyden asked for more information about, quote, widespread cybersecurity problems across the intelligence community.
So hold on a minute. They like spent less time on defensive measures because they were too busy building weapons. Does that mean that the people who hacked in got all our weapons?
Well, yes. I mean, This is how WikiLeaks found out about it. Somebody actually brought it to them. like brought them all this information about all these different hacking techniques and programs. And we're going to get into that too. Like they got out like how to run and create all this stuff.
Oh, great.
And somebody brought it to WikiLeaks. Are they the only people that got it? Seems unlikely. Also, if you're into all that stuff like hacking and whatnot, and you find out that something is theoretically possible because somebody else has done it, you now know what the end goal is. And it's just a matter of figuring out what steps get you there.
Right. Right.
You now know it's possible. You just have to keep trying until you figure that out. So that's at a minimum is you push people to then try harder at certain objectives, hacking different things and systems.
Great job, CIA. Great job.
Yeah. So the CIA report released by Wyden emphasized the agency didn't know the full extent of the damage because the CCI system, unlike other parts of the agency's IT systems, quote, did not require user activity monitoring or other safeguards. Most of our sensitive cyber weapons were not compartmented. Users shared system administrator level passwords. There were no effective removable media controls, and historical data was available to users indefinitely.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like exactly what you want from like our intelligence community as one of the most powerful countries in the world.
Yeah.
Seems good.
But creativity, Patrick.
That's true. We don't want to stifle the hacking creativity. Quote, furthermore, CCI focused on building cyber weapons and neglected to also prepare mitigation packages if those tools were exposed, the report added. The material published by WikiLeaks in 2017 suggested that the CIA had become the globe's preeminent hacking operation, sneaking into high-tech phones and televisions to spy on people worldwide.
Televisions.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that. You know, I've been talking to people about this. Yeah, most people I feel aren't aware of what can actually be done with smart TVs now.
Great.
Like you should never, basically anything Samsung, I'm very strongly against. Like they've had several hacking issues where TVs are coming on, people are being recorded.
How does your TV, do they have TVs with cameras now?
I think some might. I know they have microphones, and that's the big way that TVs play is they hack into the microphone. And then they're just listening to you all the time. They can be in your living room. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're going to talk about how your TV is like an enemy in your living room if you have a smart TV, essentially.
Great.
So, leaked information published by WikiLeaks as part of the Vault 7 series contained notes about how the agency allegedly targeted individuals through malware and physical hacking. I already said that, sorry. The massive set of documents, over 8,000 pages in all, known as Vault 7, included a host of hacking secrets that could embarrass intelligence agencies and the US government, as well as undermining spying efforts across the world. So let's get into some of the biggest secrets and pieces of information yet to emerge from this huge dump. The US intelligence agency has been involved in a concerted effort to write various kinds of malware to spy on just about every piece of electronic equipment that people use. Hundreds of router exploitations are listed in the document, which would therefore pick up all your internet traffic, anything you're doing that's being transmitted. It would get it on your end, essentially. But even more stuff than that, we probably could have done a whole episode just talking about the weird things that they can do with your router. But that's not even the scariest one. It gets worse. It gets so much worse. iPhones, Androids, and computers running Windows, Mac OS, and Linux are also in there. If that software is as powerful as WikiLeaks claims, it could be used to remotely control those devices and switch them on and off. Once they've obtained this level of control, a vast array of data would be made available, including a user's location, messages they had sent, and potentially everything heard by the microphone or seen by the camera, which they would be able to do without your knowledge.
Well, So so if they can do it, they are doing it.
Yep.
Ah,
Yep. Yep.
man, okay.
Interestingly, WikiLeaks wrote that, quote, specific CIA malware revealed in the Year Zero document is able to penetrate, infest, and control both the Android phone and iPhone software that runs or has run presidential Twitter accounts.
Oh yeah, of course.
Years and
Any cell phone.
yeah. But so I almost wonder if over the last decade or so, when every once in a while a politician has some weird random tweet, I kind of wonder if it's the CIA doing it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Or just somebody that's gotten a hold of this stuff, especially in the last few years since like the world became aware that these things are possible.
This makes me a little more, when someone says, "Oh, my phone got hacked," it makes me feel a little more like willing to believe that, especially if it's of like consequence.
Yeah, like it's seeming like that's. I mean, we've all known somebody that's had like their Facebook account hacked and weird messages sent out and stuff like that. Like, yep. So, as WikiLeaks mentioned, if the CIA can hack these phones, so can anyone else who obtained or discovered the vulnerability. When WikiLeaks obtained the hack, it had been distributed to others too. So that answers our kind of the question I wasn't sure about a minute ago, which is yes, there are definitely other people that have this.
It's out there.
Yep. So encrypted messaging apps are only as secure as the device they are used on. If an operating system is compromised, then the messages can be read before they are in fact encrypted and sent to other users. WikiLeaks claims that has happened, potentially meaning that messages have been compromised, even if all the usual precautions had been taken.
So basically, unless you have some secret other kind of phone that doesn't run what every other phone runs, it doesn't matter how much encryption or you use or whatever.
That's kind of what it's sounding like. It's sounding like having an iPhone isn't necessarily that much of a barrier anymore. Using things like Telegram are useless almost. Like it. I mean, to an extent, I guess this is only going to be at the federal level. So, but I would assume at this point, AI is doing it and cataloging just about everybody.
Right.
And once quantum computers move farther along, this is going to get easier and easier to do.
The game's over when we have quantum computers.
Yep. And I think we're pretty much there, and they're not going to tell us yet.
Yeah.
So, one of the most eye-catching programs detailed in the documents known as Weeping Angel, these allow intelligence agencies. This one allows intelligence agencies to install special software that allows TVs to be turned into listening devices, so that even when they appear to be switched off, they're actually on and listening. That's just one of the technologies created by the Embedded Devices branch, the CIA division at the center of much of the leaks of this new information.
We are like so close to turnkey fascism.
I mean, I think all the components are essentially there.
You can't even have a TV, man.
Not a smart one, not one you can talk to.
They're all going to be smart pretty soon.
That's true. I mean, we're heading in that direction. Yep. Yeah, we're all going to put the spying devices in our houses. We carry them around. They're convenient.
Awesome. Hey, Alexa.
Are you listening? Yes. That's just one of the technology. Okay, so interestingly enough, the Samsung Smart TV hack isn't a big surprise. In fact, before smart TVs became popular, it was known that the CIA wanted to spy on people through their appliances, according to an article by Network World. Then CIA director, I should have looked up how to say his name. I know I'm
Petraeus.
That's right. Okay, I see him. You say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that name. He spoke at a CIA venture capital firm, which I didn't even know that was a thing. CIA has venture capital firms, apparently.
Man, this reminds me of that Invention Secrecy Act episode.
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And they gotta have an arm to buy up all that stuff, I guess. I don't
to buy it up or to help create it.
Man, they would almost be worth probably doing an episode on the CIA's venture capital firm.
Yeah, I wonder what they invest in.
Investing in destruction since 1947. Or when I think it was late 40s, wasn't it? Anyway, so back in 2000, this is the part that upset me. I think arguably it's pretty high up there. I don't know if it's going to upset you the most in this, but it's going to get up there. So back in 2015, Samsung's smart TV privacy policy warned people not to share private information in front of their TVs.
Oh, wow.
Hey, don't ever say your social security card in your living room. Don't do it.
Don't have any conversations in your living room or possibly your bedroom or possibly
most rooms in your house if you're doing well, honestly, in America.
I'm sure a lot of boardrooms have TVs in them.
Yep. So many of the documents reference tools that appear to have dangerous and unknown uses. One file, for instance, shows that the CIA were looking into ways of remotely controlling cars and vans by hacking into them.
Oh, man. I've done some research into that.
So back to Karen Silkwood a little bit.
Yeah, that was...
Imagine how many nuclear people they've been able to take out, or they're going to be. I guess they wouldn't have yet. I don't know, though. I don't know. Cars are very computerized now. Obviously, that's not been it's a pretty recent thing to where it's really they got Wi-Fi, and not Wi-Fi, but they've got signal to them to where you could potentially be able to hack into some sort of system. But man, imagine
if your phone is synced to like the infotainment system or whatever.
I'm sure that's a way to get in too. You're in the Bluetooth, and that would be the antenna that they need to get to it, which would be your cell phone. So yeah, that's been going on for a little bit. We don't know how successful they were in that. WikiLeaks noted the purpose of such control is not specified, but it would permit the CIA to engage in nearly undetectable assassinations.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know what happened. He just lost control of his car and drove off the freeway. I don't know. It's weird. He was also carrying a bunch of important nuclear documents that would have exposed a bunch of terrible people. And those documents, for some reason, are gone. We don't know what happened.
We don't know.
I mean, it's been, almost 50 years since Karen Silkwood. It's definitely history just repeats itself. So next time they won't even have to ram anybody.
I'm going to start wearing tinfoil over my head, over my TV, over my car. I'm just going to wrap everything I own in tinfoil.
I've basically been wallpapering my house in tinfoil. It's actually been saving a lot on heating costs, to be honest with you. So WikiLeaks claims that its source handed over the documents in order to provoke a debate about the power of intelligence agencies and how their information should be exposed. Perhaps central to that is the accusation that the CIA was hoarding exploits that it had found, rather than handing them over to the companies that could then fix them, and so make users safer, as they had promised to do.
Oh, they ain't interested in that.
Oh, but they said they were. They said that was why they were doing all this, is we just want to help the consumer and make sure our people are safe.
Yeah.
Such bugs were found in the biggest consumer electronics in the world, including phones and computers, as I'd mentioned, by Apple, Google, and Microsoft. But those companies didn't get the chance to fix those exploits because the agency kept them secret in order to keep using them, the document suggested. Quote, serious vulnerabilities not disclosed to the manufacturers places huge swaths of the population and critical infrastructure at risk to foreign intelligence or cyber criminals who independently discover or hear rumors of the vulnerability. If the CIA can discover such vulnerabilities, so can others.
It doesn't matter though if you're only interested in yourself. If you're like, I don't care what happens to John and Jane Doe or whatever, but we want the ability to spy on them, and we can fix our own phones, but not theirs. Then
I guess maybe they're securing their own phones against it, but yeah, not gonna help. I mean, they're not helping politicians and stuff. I guess it seems like they're probably hacking some of those politicians. So why would you want to help some of them if it's going to gate you off from others that you would like to attack?
Yeah, they're probably keeping book on who says what.
Yep. According to WikiLeaks, the CIA collects attack techniques stolen from malware produced in other states, including Russia, via a project called Umbrage. The CIA does this for many reasons, but one use is they can leave behind fingerprints that misdirect origination, making it look like their cyber attacks were done by somebody else.
Oh, great. Russia.
You're going to find that they like to use Russia a lot.
Super.
Because the CIA kept the vulnerabilities hidden, even after they were exposed, WikiLeaks said this put the population at large at risk, including members of the US government, Congress, top CEOs, and engineers. Without letting Apple and Google know about their vulnerabilities, the companies had no means to fix the hacks after they eventually leaked. So they didn't even, it gets leaked through WikiLeaks, and they're just like, oh, our phone's got problems, and the CIA has known about it for like several years. Thanks, guys. Yep. By the end of 2016, the CIA's hacking division, which formally falls under the agency's Center for Cyber Intelligence, CCI, had over 5,000 registered users and had produced more than 1,000 hacking systems, Trojans, viruses, and other weaponized malware.
Wow.
Such is the scale of the CIA's undertaking that by 2016, its hackers had utilized more code than that used to run all of Facebook. All of it. Everybody's Facebook. All the Facebook. More lines of code than that.
Ooh.
That's just what they're using to hack. That's not systems. That's just hacking stuff that's happening.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. So the CIA had created, in effect, its own NSA.
I was going to ask, where's the NSA in all this? But
oh, no, they're doing their own thing, too. This is just the CIA stuff.
Great.
This is just one group. No, the NSA is over there doing that. And then you got the National Reconnaissance Association that we talked about in earlier episodes. Like, no, this is just one group.
Just coming at it from all angles here.
Mm-hmm.
No smart TV or fridge or car or phone, or we'll be safe.
I would assume they hack each other, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, they're so super secret and off the grid from everything else that's happening. I would assume they hack each other. And that's how they, gain information. And then they build on that. And it's like a fun game they're playing with each other.
They have to be hacking politicians and CEOs and stuff.
They're hacking everybody, it sounds like. Excuse me. So they had even less accountability than the NSA. And without publicly answering the question as to whether such a massive budgetary spend on duplicating the capacities of a rival agency could in fact be justified. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, no, they can't be justified. Y'all should have probably been working together on this.
Layers and layers. There's just layers to this, man. They're going to come for us all, man. Someday it's going to happen. They're going to have a big list.
Oh, I'm sure we are making that list just weekly. In a statement to WikiLeaks, the source details policy questions that they say urgently need to be debated in public, including whether the CIA's hacking capabilities exceed its mandated powers and the problem of public oversight of the agency. Two things I don't think the CIA wants to talk about at all.
No, that's no.
Meh.
Pass. That's their worst enemy.
You want to know what we're doing? Yeah, it's a hard pass from us. because it's classified and stuff. We can't.
How about we talk what you've been saying in front of your TV?
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
I would like to actually talk about these texts that you were sending through Telegram. First of all, why do you need a secret messaging app? Secondly, it didn't matter. So we need to talk about that. Do you want to continue your questions? No? Okay. So the source wishes to initiate a public debate about the security, creation, use, proliferation, and democratic control of cyber weapons. These techniques permit the CIA to bypass the encryption of, like I said, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, Weibo, Confide, and Cloakman by hacking the smartphones that they run on and collecting audio and message traffic before encryption is applied. The US government's commitment to the vulnerabilities equities process came after significant lobbying by US technology companies who risk losing their share of the global market over real and perceived hidden vulnerabilities. The government stated that it would disclose all pervasive vulnerabilities discovered after 2010 on an ongoing basis.
Year zero. Yeah.
Many of them. No. I mean, they're talking about it now because somebody else outed them.
When are we ever? Why?
I don't know.
We trust these people.
I don't know. I mean, the more we do this show, I'm just like, why do any of us trust them at all? And I'm really having problems with like older generations now. I'm just like, how are you guys still on board with this? Like, you lived through what happened and what you were told, and now we've had disclosure past that to where you could then connect those things in your life, and it doesn't register. And I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like there's like this cynicism, kind of like the UFO topic. It's like everyone just kind of assumes every politician is dirty, everyone's spying on us, aliens are real, but it's like they don't really ever process what that means. They just kind of think it like a platitude. So when something like this comes out, they're like, "Oh yeah, I already knew that. Oh yeah, they already spy on us." But they haven't really sat down and really thought about what that means. Like,
it's because it's stressful. It's upsetting, and I think most people just don't want to deal with that because it doesn't feel like it affects them directly unless they pay attention to it.
There's nothing you can really do about it. Although we should be up in arms about this. This should be like an issue.
It's like the ghost in Mario. Like, they're not looking at it, and they just assume it's not there, and they turn around and it's really close, but it freezes, so it's not a big deal until it's too late.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, actually.
The U.S. government's commitment. Okay, so sorry. So back to the year zero documents. They show that the CIA actually breached the Obama administration's commitments. Many of the vulnerabilities used in the CIA's cyber arsenal are pervasive, and some may already have been found by rival intelligence agencies or cyber criminals, the report says. That's according to WikiLeaks in the report. WikiLeaks redacted and anonymized some of the information before releasing it, including CIA targets throughout the US and the world. So that's, I guess, nice. They didn't put anybody on blast. I'm sure some of those people, there's nothing going on. Yeah, and so it would probably be very damaging to have that pop up when they're not really doing anything. They just, for whatever reason, are on the CIA's watch list or whatever.
See, this is why I get so mad about the persecution of Julian Assange, because this is real journalism. This is important, real journalism. This is the type of stuff you'd expect the New York Times to be doing. Yep. And they're obviously all in bed together.
Yep.
And then the minute someone does it for real, they get stuck in jail.
Yep. Well, that's what keeps happening with there's been several people that have gotten in trouble for this whole WikiLeaks thing. The people they've accused essentially, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, of actually making these grabs of information and turning them over to WikiLeaks.
Right.
And a lot of that is coming from inside the CIA. Like, it's not even necessarily people hacking them. It's people that are in there that have access to it. They're like, man, this is really messed up. We need to tell people that this is going on.
Right. Yeah. Most hacking jobs like that are inside, or it's social engineering. I mean,
yep.
It's hard to walk out with 34 terabytes of data if you're just downloading it on your computer at home. Like,
yeah, that would take some time. So, what are some of the takeaways from this? There are many, but essentially, because the CIA was targeting Android devices, iOS devices, smart TVs, and even Microsoft Mac OS X and Linux systems, it seems that almost anything is vulnerable, especially any device that is microphone and camera equipped and can connect to the internet. Those seem to be the biggest targets, obviously.
Why aren't you watching our show, CIA? We'll take the view.
Oh, they might be. I'm assuming they probably are.
Do we have any views in DC?
I haven't looked at the breakdown. Probably a lot. So, antivirus systems really won't stop them either. That's according to WikiLeaks as well. Quote, CIA hackers developed successful attacks against most well-known antivirus programs. These are documented in AV defeats, personal security products, detecting and defeating PSPs, and PSP debugger RE avoidance, which is just basically every kind of like anti like malware, any kind of security that you would put on your computer that you think keeps you safe from everything. They've already figured out how to get through
around it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So among the weirder pages in the documents are a strange focus on emojis and emoticons. For example, an entire page is devoted to, quote, Japanese style faces, including the ever so popular shrugging emoji. Were they trying to get these faces correct to infiltrate the internet conversations? An entire section is also devoted to faces of the internet, including sideways faces, multi-line faces, one-line faces, and weird right to left faces. And that last one's a quote. Why, I don't know, but that was a very specific one. Weird right to left faces was something that the CIA was concerned about. The comment on the section is, quote, I would like to put in a request for the Reddit implied perverse interpretation face. Does this mean they were posting on Reddit too? It's possible, because one user did say they visit Reddit's NetSec subreddit for ideas. And that's in the disclosed documents from the CIA.
So by faces of the internet, they mean emojis people use on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know what exactly that does for infiltration, but
they want to be natural, I guess. I don't know. This is weird. It like sounds like it's something a robot would ask.
Well, I almost wonder I'm kind of wondering if the code for those emojis somehow plants something in the conversation that then makes it so they can retrieve the whole conversation.
Oh, interesting.
Like it somehow tags it or something.
Yeah, they're like hiding code inside of little.
Yeah,
I need to stop sending so many shrugging emojis.
I send so many shrugging emojis. They were very aware of the climate they were in worldwide, and they were like, "Let's shrug an emoji. That one's getting a lot of play. That's the one." So there are other aspects to Vault 7 that are still being deciphered. For example, some are concerned that the CIA was infiltrating online games as well, because one of the pages references the League of Legends, Hearthstone, and Heroes of the Storm, which are all like online multiplayer games. So Vault 7, I don't know about the other two. League of Legends, I believe, is free. So that maybe, and it has a large like worldwide playing base.
Oh man. I mean,
so it'd be a way to get into somebody's computer, essentially.
Yeah.
So the Vault 7 series was aimed at detailing activities and hacking capabilities of the CIA to perform electronic surveillance and cyber warfare. During the series, WikiLeaks released technical details on 23 tools that were allegedly used by the agency to hack everything from smart TVs, cars, web browsers, operating systems, like I'd said, and then smartphones of just about every kind, webcams, VLC players, microphones. However, the last release was carried out under the code name Vault 8 in 2017. And this was the last release that has come out from WikiLeaks to date. The Vault 8 series exposed actual source codes for previously released leaked implants. So in that one later on, they actually put out how to do it.
Wow.
This publication will enable investigative journalists, forensic experts,
Al
and
Qaeda.
and the general public to better identify and understand covert CIA infrastructure components, WikiLeaks said. They went on to say, Hive, which we're going to get into, Hive solves a critical problem for the malware operators at the CIA. Even the most sophisticated malware implant on a target computer is useless if there's no way for it to communicate with its operators in a secure manner that doesn't draw attention. And that was from an official press release from the task force.
Well,
or maybe that was WikiLeaks, sorry.
I love their code names.
Yeah.
Like, you want to listen to someone through a TV? Weeping Angel. I'm sure Hive is great. Hive sounds super non-threatening.
Hive works as a communication tool between malware and cover domains. These domains seem harmless and perfectly boring looking to visitors. However, traffic from these implants communicating with these domains is sent to an implant operator management gateway that they called Honeycomb. The collected data is then sent back to the CIA. So they like move it around and will make it look like this. So they make it look like your computer is like looking at like boring websites essentially. Mm-hmm. So that nobody would ever think that that's like, I don't know. I didn't find any, a good example. I don't know, recipes or something like that. Something so just mundane that you would never think that that's something communicating within your computer.
Weird.
And it masks where it's going to, because now it's on this other server, it uploads there into this Honeycomb, and then it's able to direct from there, I'm sure reroutes it several different ways, and then moves it to the CIA.
Oh, we're there, man.
So you would have to basically, I think, essentially be like the NSA trying to figure out what the CIA is doing.
Oh.
To be able to get through all this.
I wonder if they're collecting just on everyone or just on people they're interested in.
It seems, I mean, I don't know. From what I'm gathering, I assume they're mainly targeting people, but there's so many of them doing it. I think they're targeting a lot of people, though, but...
Right. It's not like every single person's thing, but it's like a lot of people are being
Probably
targeted.
not. It's probably, like, if you're a normal citizen, they probably could whenever they wanted, and yours would be super simple because we're not doing anything to try and beef up our security, usually on a personal level. But I think they're probably mainly targeting people they see as terrorists. I assume all politicians. Which is a lot of people,
yeah.
All politicians. If you have anything that's not a super conservative pro-government view, I assume you're probably in some sort of a file somewhere. Yeah. There's probably long lists of things that just get dumped into files that are just like, this person did this in a keyword sort of way. Mm-hmm. And they get dumped into this file. Maybe there's a demerit system where if they say too much or too often, it moves them to another. I don't know. Who knows how far that goes, but I'm assuming there's an automation involved in it.
It's like the whole China social credit thing.
Yeah. Probably very similar, actually.
Oh, my country is depressing me right now. Oh.
Yeah, and as I got into this, even being a few years old now, I was unaware of most of this stuff. Like, I knew about the Samsung products. Like, I've heard about that when it really was a problem a few years ago, and I've just detested Samsung ever since. But I didn't know about all this other stuff. I didn't know iPhones had such vulnerabilities and that the CIA was doing everything that they were doing.
Well, what's the deal with, there's all these stories about how, like, the FBI will want to get into an iPhone for criminal investigation.
That's the FBI.
That's right.
Not the CIA.
So we can't use it to solve a murder, but we can use it to listen to you talking to your wife in front of the TV.
Well, it's because if you're the FBI, I think you get into more of a bureaucratic situation.
Right, yeah.
Where people know what you're doing, and these things would be dubbed too
illegal.
Far. And yeah, let's just call it what it is: illegal. Illegal.
This is. There's no way this isn't illegal.
Yep.
Even for the CIA.
Yep. But if nobody knows about it, and you're a weird standalone operation, then we'll just use it to steer the world the way we want. But we're not going to solve murders or do anything like that. At least not murders that we don't care about.
Or make things more secure or, yeah.
No, we want them less secure so we can get into them. Like, this is a lot of work keeping up with the new technology, you guys. Like, slow it down. We can only hack so much.
I wonder, though, if the companies don't really know.
I don't.
I mean, if you're Tim Cook at Apple and the CIA is like, hey, we found this, but we'd really appreciate it if you don't fix it. He'd probably play ball.
And that gives you more of a backbone to then tell the FBI to shove off because the CIA is cool with you and what you're doing.
Yeah. Shadow government, man.
According to WikiLeaks, the CIA used these fake certificates from these different domains to impersonate existing entities, including the Kaspersky Lab, which is a Russian company, which has come up in the news a lot in recent years with all the hacking and stuff.
I knew that.
They get pointed out a lot, and we know from WikiLeaks, the CIA used them as like we don't know if they were moving it through them. I think I get into it a little bit. I don't know how exactly they were doing it, but they would basically route through their servers. It's believed other hackers were doing it too.
So whenever they say something's from Russia, we can't trust it.
That's basically.
See, I knew that. I knew this was all. That's ridiculous. And they say everything's from Russia. They say the WikiLeaks is from Russia. For all we know, the CIA chose to give some of this stuff up. Oh my gosh.
Or it's all just the CIA.
Right.
Yep. The examples included in the source code build. So the examples that are in the source code that got released in Vault 8 built a fake certificate for the antivirus company Kaspersky Laboratory that show its signing as the Thought Premium Server CA in Cape Town. In this way, if the target organization looks at the network traffic coming from out of the network, it is likely to misattribute the CIA's exfiltration of data to uninvolved entities whose identities have been impersonated. So even if Kaspersky Laboratory figures out this is going on, they don't know that it's the CIA doing it. It looks like it's some other group doing it. You could just pin stuff on any hacking organization you want. You could say Anonymous is doing all of this.
It's all the CIA, dude.
With everything we've learned about agent provocateurs and Operation Gladio and just all the different ways they like to secretly control things and veer things and just anything that's not a super conservative view, basically, they're going to come after you.
Gosh, even if you're too conservative, they come
also that. I mean, that's definitely become an issue as well. Basically, if you just don't agree with them or go along with what they're trying to accomplish, you're a threat.
Yeah, if you don't go along with their agenda, which is more control.
Which is just, it's reaching into everything.
So this is actually making me angry. I'm not even like that distressed. I'm more just angry.
Yeah, it's kind of the anger's moved past me as I've researched it recently, and I'm just kind of like, oh.
I just wondered what they put our country through because they blame Russia on so much stuff. It gets into our politics.
Yep.
You know, Russia has nuclear weapons. They blame North Korea for some hack of a movie a few years ago. I never bought that. I just, it's unbelievable. It makes you feel like a lot of the stuff going on right now makes me feel like, I mean, is this just all an illusion? Is there no real democracy? Like, have they already won, basically? And they let us do our thing over here, but they're going to eventually, they'll find their way to crack down. You know what I mean?
It does feel like all the pieces, as you were saying, latchkey fascism. It feels like all the pieces are in place for this possibly some sort of like, I don't know. I kind of debate the Illuminati school of thought and New World Order. And is it just pretty much already there? Or is it actually there? And we're looking for it to be this one unified thing that's in front of all of us when actually it really already is one unified thing that's just in the background.
Right. Well, it just depends on how much, I mean, let's call it like the deep state or Illuminati or whatever. Like, it just depends on how patient they are. Because if there's no plan of theirs, that can't wait 2 years in their eyes or 4 years in their eyes, then they can basically just control the government. They'll
Yep.
just attack any politician they want to. And it's like we won't see it as a coup because they'll have enough time for stuff to work itself out. But they're always going to get what they want, basically.
Well, and this show and just history in general history has proven that Americans, especially, very forgetful of things that happen.
Right.
Just it flashes by so quick, and the same thing can happen again, not even very much longer after.
Right.
And people act surprised by it all over again. It's just
wake up.
Woeful ignorance, I guess. Just it's easier
What
to
else
not
can they
turn
hack?
around.
Voting machines? Can they hack I don't know. I mean, can they create emails for? Oh, I guess they can if they get into people's. I mean,
if you could get into the phone, then you could then potentially create all those messages in any way you want. If you're there, if you're able to see the message, I would assume you have the capability to also edit messages.
And then if they get caught, they can blame on whoever they. Yeah. Wow. All right.
Well, and the reason I think that you knew about Kaspersky Lab is because the U.S. government had actually banned them for its alleged links with Russia. However, after the release of Hive's source code, it's unclear if the CIA only impersonated Kaspersky Labs or also hacked their systems to frame the cybersecurity giant and bring Russia under fire.
Well, I'm probably going to err on the side of that since they have the capability to do it.
Yep. If they can, I think we've found that if they can, they most definitely will and already did.
Yeah.
Also, Israel played a vital role in hacking Kaspersky Labs. In October 2015, it was reported that Israeli spies managed to access Kaspersky's back-end systems and identified that Russian hackers were discreetly using the software both as a universal search engine and a spying tool. Whether that's actually Russia or Russian hackers doing that, or that was all just the CIA impersonating them.
Or whether Russia's exploiting this company the same as we are,
CIA
basically.
is.
Yeah.
They both found this vulnerability and are both using it and then pointing the finger at each other. That would make sense too. To hide its operations, the CIA routinely adopted techniques that enabled attackers to appear as if they were Russian. According to the documents published by WikiLeaks, U.S. officials who previously spoke to CNN about the incident emphasized that any intelligence collection using the type of operations described in the documents is legal against overseas targets.
Yeah. Are you going to get into how they play with that, though? Because I have a thing or two to say about that.
I don't know. I don't think I get into it too far. The officials also cautioned that some of the material describes programs still under development by the CIA, by the intelligence community. So
well, what they do with those foreign things is basically they use it to spy on domestic people. Because
and they make it look like it was the foreign entity doing it.
Well, no, like even without doing that, I'm sure they can do that too, but they can, like if you have any contact with any foreign entity, they can start spying on you.
Oh, good. That's
what
cool.
they did. Yeah, I think that was part of the whole Russiagate thing. And also, apparently, I've read this, but it would have to be a different show. Apparently, our CIA does share information with like MI6, etc. And there's a group of countries who will let spy on each other. So, like, if Israel wants to spy on some Americans and then give us the information, technically, we didn't spy on them. See what I'm saying?
That's a nice workaround.
Yeah,
that's a wonderful workaround. No, I didn't know that. That you upset me a little bit there. Good job.
You're welcome.
So at the time, WikiLeaks claimed that nearly all of the CIA's arsenal of privacy breaching cyber weapons had been stolen, like I said, and that the tools are potentially in the hands of criminals and foreign spies. So that's their answer is like, well, this might be just out everywhere now.
Yeah, I would assume it is.
While the CIA task force responsible for the 2017 report made several recommendations to address these security failures, some lawmakers are still concerned that the intelligence community remains vulnerable to security breaches of this nature.
I'm worried that I'm vulnerable to security breaches.
Oh, we're definitely, if they're vulnerable, we're definitely vulnerable.
Well, I just mean getting spied on.
Yeah, that's
like
all of it. Don't die, Dennis. So, quote, the lack cybersecurity practices documented in the CIA's WikiLeaks task force report do not appear to be limited to just one part of the intelligence community, Wyden wrote, adding it called the breach a wake-up call. Look, guys, this whole thing is WikiLeaks telling everybody about all this stuff we've been doing has been a real wake-up call for us over here at the CIA. And it's presented an opportunity to quote, it's an opportunity to right long-standing imbalances and lapses. Look, guys, we're the CIA and we just want to be better now. We didn't realize how bad we were at security.
How many times are we going to hear that? I'm almost glad they're bad at security. I want to know about this stuff.
At this point, yeah, it is kind of, they really are just kind of bumbling idiots sometimes about some things, it seems like. It's like, how are you so smart and so advanced and then just do the dumbest things?
Right.
Is it just hubris? I kind of think it's just hubris. Like, we're the CIA, you can't mess with us. And like, I don't know how long you can get messed with and not think that's the thing that can happen.
For real, man. That's what I was thinking earlier. It's like you invent all these weapons, but you don't keep them safe. I don't even want you necessarily inventing the weapons.
No. But we got to stop terrorists, Dennis. We have to stop the terrorists. If we don't have the weapons, they will. And then what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Someone's got to do the spying.
So Wyden went on to say, 3 years after the report was submitted, the intelligence community is still lagging behind and has failed to adopt even the most basic cybersecurity technologies in widespread use elsewhere in the federal government. So even after all this, they're like, yeah, we're going to keep one general file with all the cool new hacker tech. And, anybody can get in there and there's no passwords. Just
how is that even possible?
I don't know. I've worked in offices that had more security than this, it sounds like, honestly.
For real. Unbelievable.
So Wyden requested that Ratcliffe provide him unclassified answers to a series of questions related to the implementation of cybersecurity practices within the intelligence community by July 17th, 2020. And from what I could find, I could not find anything. It's unclear whether this was ever actually done, and I'm assuming he couldn't actually tell anybody if he'd received it. Because he's wanting like the unclassified version of the stuff he's read. So the CIA's lax cybersecurity practices were also highlighted in federal court earlier this year in 2020 during the trial of Joshua Schultz, the ex-CIA employee who was accused of handing over the reams of classified data from Vault 7 and Vault 8, I'm assuming, to WikiLeaks in 2016.
Oh, yeah, it was an inside job. Okay.
Yeah, it was. Oh, well, was it? Hold on. Again, remember, everybody in this group has access to this. Remember, there were 5,000 employees a few years ago.
Right.
He is one of 5,000 people that have access to all of this. More than likely. I'm assuming we're going to say at least 75% of these people have access to just about everything in there. Probably all of them, though. Probably all of them. I don't know if the secretaries do too. Based on the security I'm hearing, though, I'm assuming even the receptionist has access to all this malware. She just clicks on that file and there it all is. Like, it's weird. So the October 2017 CIA report was introduced as evidence during the trial of Schultz. His attorney argued that the system security was so poor that the information could have been accessed by a large number of employees. Schultz worked as a coder at the agency's headquarters in Langley, Virginia, where some of the CIA's digital sleuths designed computer code to spy on foreign adversaries. In March of 2020, a federal grand jury in New York failed to reach a verdict on whether Schultz did, in fact, give the data to WikiLeaks. So the trial went through, and by the end of it, they were like, look, there's plenty of shadow of doubt here that somebody else might have done this.
You're right.
There's literally there could be thousands of people this could be, and you've got one guy with really shaky evidence. Okay, so the retrial is set for June 7th, 2021. U.S. District Court Judge Paul A. Crotty set the date for Joshua Schultz over the objections of a defense lawyer who said it would be impossible to properly prepare for a trial that started before August of 2021. I'm not sure what was happening in those 2 months or what's going to happen in those 2 months. Like, I'm like, bro, you got like, when this is happening, you got like a year to prepare. What is that extra 2 months going to do? No, guys, I need 14 months to prepare for this case or it's not going to go well. 14 months. I can only have 12. Well, this is going to go terribly.
You'd be surprised.
Well, yeah, as an attorney, I'm sure that means more to you, but I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, what is 2 more months going to do in a year of preparation?
I mean, think about all the stuff you'd have to go through for this.
That's true. That's true. I guess maybe just the more time, the better.
There's 5,000 potential suspects.
That's true. That's true. You know what? All right. I see it your way now.
I mean, I'd claw for all the time I could get. Especially this dude probably going to go to jail for life.
I would assume so, yeah, I would assume he's probably, this might be an execution situation for like spying and, yeah, just not good stuff. So after the retrial, because that's not all Schultz has going on, he's 32 years old, and he also faces child pornography charges at a separate trial.
I don't even believe that.
You know what? And I'm glad you said that.
I don't even believe that.
That was my initial response as soon as I read that. I'm like, that's very convenient. So if we don't get you this way, we're going to get you another way that arguably you'll get punished just as bad.
That also fits like the total profile of things we're able to plant.
Yeah. It's like we can literally hack everything and do anything. I kind of wonder this every time now that I hear about like somebody getting in trouble for something and then in an unrelated thing, they find a bunch of like child porn. I'm not saying some of that isn't happening.
Maybe that's like the safeguard.
That's kind of what I'm starting to think. I'm like, is this just your way to make sure you get somebody at the end of it, no matter what? Like that's your ace in the hole. And you just,
I mean, I'm sure it happens too, but especially like this, when you're on the CIA's hit list, like,
it is very weird to be a high-level coder for like CIA hackerware, and also you're going to keep child porn like connected to your devices. And we're going to get into. I'm going to give you some Let me give you some details about this child porn situation.
Okay.
So during a raid of Schultz's Manhattan apartment on March 15th, 2017. As well as at least one more on March 23rd, 2017, federal agents confiscated approximately 60 electronic devices, including a desktop computer locked under 3 layers of encryption. On March 20th, 2017, investigators returned to Schultz's apartment and asked for consent to search his cell phone. According to his counsel, quote, Schultz, in front of the agents, opened the phone, put in the password, handed it over to them to make sure that nothing on the phone could be destroyed or altered, and handed it right to the authorities. Okay. So he doesn't resist this at all. They come and ask for his phone. He just hands it to them. Mm-hmm. So they have his phone now, unlocked. Afterwards, through technical analysis, agents retrieved passwords from his cell phone that unlocked multiple layers of encryption on his desktop computer. Again, the computer in his house, the cell phone that he willingly hands them and unlocks doesn't make them. He knows what they can do. He worked for them.
Right.
So he just hands it to them. And this is where investigators discovered a single classified document, as well as over 10,000 images and videos depicting child pornography, including sadistic and masochistic images and videos of children as young as a few years old who had been brutally sexually assaulted. So he takes one document from all this CIA stuff
But
and slaps it in there with his high-level security porn vault.
I don't buy it.
But all the other stuff found elsewhere, all the other documents that we're talking about, there's just
10,000 images.
That's what I mean. It's like, bro, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm trying to think if I wanted to download 10,000 pictures of anything. Let's say I wanted 10,000 pictures of spoons. Like, how long would that take me? I feel like that'd be like a full-time job. That's a lot. That's a lot, man.
Also, you're spending who knows how many hours a day writing CIA code. When do you have time for all this child porn?
Man, I know it's possible, but it's just so suspicious.
And and that's the thing. I have no feeling either way. Just the conspiracy side of me thinks this is very convenient.
Yeah.
Again, it hasn't gone to trial yet. It's not going to go to trial till after this. And I couldn't honestly find much more information than this anywhere because it hasn't been disclosed yet, essentially.
Also, why didn't they find all the WikiLeaks stuff? They found one single document.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's he had one document that he stole and then stored with all his child porn.
Gosh.
Again, this is like a coder that knows how all these things work, is creating this malware and stuff. Like, I feel like there's going to be some compartmentalization on his part. I don't know. Maybe he's just one of the CIA guys and he's like, well, we keep all our secrets just in one place at work. I'll live my life that way too.
Yeah, I can do whatever I want.
That's possible too. And that's also a possibility in all this is he feels like he's above the law because he's doing all this for the CIA. And so why would they ever look at me? I see that side of it too, that this very well, he could have some sort of he could be a pedo. He could be a sicko that and that's possible. Like, again, very convenient.
Yeah. If he loses his CIA, if he wins against the CIA and then loses on this child porn, I'm just going to be very suspicious that this wasn't their ace in the hole.
Yeah. So the court concluded that Schultz's contention of being victimized by people who use his servers to store child pornography without his knowledge or consent just doesn't really seem likely, and ordered that he be detained. So his excuse was like, look, I don't know anything about this, but like other people could have stored stuff on the server and I wouldn't have known about. I don't know. It's very unclear, and maybe it's just I don't have the computer programming literacy to really understand what's happening here.
Same, yeah.
But that's what he says. So 3 weeks later, on September 6, 2017, Schultz was indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York on suspicion of receipt of child pornography, possession of child pornography, and transportation of child pornography. A week later, Schultz entered a plea of not guilty and was released on bail 2 days afterwards. On November 15, 2017, the Loudoun County, Virginia, Commonwealth's Attorney's Office determined that they had enough evidence based on pictures supplied by the FBI to charge Schultz with 2 crimes: object sexual penetration and the lawful creation of an image or another. So now I think they're accusing him of actually creating it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that might be a bit different.
But again, on December 7th, 2017, at the request of the FBI, Schultz was arrested by NYPD officers in connection to the charges in Virginia. On December 14th, 2017, U.S. Magistrate Judge Paul A. Crotty revoked the bail in New York and had Schultz remanded to the custody of the United States Marshal of the Southern District of New York. Schultz has since been detained at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. So Schultz, who remains incarcerated at a federal lockup next to the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The same jury that deadlocked on the most serious charges of the WikiLeaks case also convicted him of contempt of court and making false statements. I'm not really sure what was going on there either, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Like I looked a little bit, and I don't know if it's because there's still an ongoing thing happening that like records aren't as available, or maybe I'm just bad at looking at court records. It could really go either way on this one. Prosecutors have argued that Schultz was a disgruntled employee who pulled off the largest leak of classified information in CIA history as an act of revenge. So they're saying that's why he went to WikiLeaks with all this. Schultz, originally from Lubbock, Texas, was blamed for the theft after a year-long investigation that commenced when WikiLeaks published Vault 7 in 2017. By the time he was arrested, Schultz had left the agency after falling out with colleagues and supervisors and was living in New York City. Defense attorney Sabrina Shroff told jurors at Schultz's first trial that investigators could not be sure who took the data because the CIA network in question, quote, was the farthest thing from being secure. Hundreds of people had access to it. Hundreds of people could have stolen it.
So he was disgruntled and had already left, which would also make him a good target to blame it on.
So he was, by what they're saying then, so he's left and he took with him like all these terabytes, these 2.2 billion pages of text out of the CIA and then sat on it for a year. While also getting really into child porn?
Yeah,
I guess.
It's possible. But
again, until that trial happens, like I'm reserving judgment. If it's true, then he's a terrible person, and I hope all the bad things happen to him, and he gets the max sentence on all of that.
We just spent an hour talking about how they could do stuff with your computer.
But there's that. Yes, Dennis, there is.
I mean,
that.
it's just, it's so hard to believe. And then it's like, this is somebody they have something against. This is something.
They had a falling out with somebody who helped them create all sorts of stuff they didn't want anybody to know about. And he's just out in the world now.
He could just be on a list of people like, let's go ahead and mess with him.
As soon as we can.
Anything ever happens. Yeah.
Only good witness is a dead witness is what they say.
It's spooky, dude. I mean, yeah, maybe he's a total like.
And he might be. He might be.
But I mean, there's got to be some chance he's not.
If he is a complete perv, though, this brings in the question of why isn't the CIA screening these people better before they bring them in to then work on some of the most heinous cyber criminal stuff that we can make out of our protection, for our protection?
Yeah, right? I mean, let's say that he's, I don't know. I just don't know how you could ever trust this. I mean, that would be one of the most horrifying things in the world. Say you're accused of some crime. It's already bad enough. And the next thing you know, they say, oh, hey, we found 10,000 images of child porn in your computer. You'd want to jump off a bridge, whether or not you were innocent or guilty.
I mean, you would think also, like, because I'm not sure if they already had that computer in the first raid that they found that on and then they came back for the password. Like, I don't know. It seems very suspect based on what we know about how the CIA likes to operate and trap people.
Yeah.
This may just be that.
Well,
or again, I'm mad at the CIA either way, because either one, you frame this dude, or two, you let this dude work for you. And you're supposed to be the intelligence agency. And this dude's like a massive child porn addict. And
gave him access to people's like private. I wonder if the two charges, one was the foreign object thing, which makes me wonder if he wasn't in a video, in which case.
That's kind of what, but nothing I read stated that clearly. There was just that one little one-off. So I quoted that, but everything that the CIA or the FBI was saying was talking about possession.
Right. But then there also was that second charge that was, I'm trying to find it here. It was something like taking someone's picture without their consent, or
yeah, those were the two things that the FBI object sexual penetration and the unlawful creation of an image of another. So he may have made something. If that's the case, then they got him dead to rights.
I hope he goes to jail forever.
I hope he goes to jail for that.
But you're giving someone who has those proclivities access to stuff to spy on people.
Yep. Still mad at the CIA for that, because that means he was able to get into all kinds of stuff, cameras in people's houses that kids were in. Like,
that's what I'm wondering. If the creation of a thing isn't him using that technology to spy on people.
And again, I'm more mad at the CIA and all of that.
Yeah.
That they gave that dude the ability to do the evil things that he did. If he did them.
Oh, man. You can't trust anyone.
Nope. I feel like we will be doing some sort of a follow-up in a year on Joshua Schultz, on what happened with his trial, and then moving into the pedo trial.
The saga of Joshua Schultz.
Man, again, and if he's a patsy for all this or something, just I don't know how to feel about him right now. Like, I went very back and forth in writing this on kind of how to even portray him, because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this at all.
Yeah, I think we know creeps like him exist if he is, but I'm more concerned with the fact that they can spy on any of us.
That's what I mean. And what we know about the way they operated with things like Operation Gladio. We haven't talked about like Operation Northwood, where like they wanted to frame Cuba so that we could like go to war against them. And JFK was like, no.
I know, this makes
me wonder. But they wrote up all kinds of plans about that, like from like domestic terrorism stuff. And that was in like the 60s. They were already talking about using domestic terrorism to move things in a direction they wanted it to go.
Well, yeah, like what are they gonna if there's ever like a cyber hack and like that takes down like our power grid or something like, how are we gonna trust that it was actually a foreign government instead of the CIA trying to look for a reason to?
Honestly, I don't think we'll be able to know, because it doesn't seem like there's any way to watch these people. Like, we've let these things spiral so far out of control over the last 60 years or so that they're just monsters now.
There's no accountability. I mean, I bet you, yeah.
They're like sovereign nations within a nation, essentially.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Like they're living by their own rules, and it sounds like they can almost cover up anything they really do, too.
Well, congratulations, Patrick. You got me hard this week.
Man, it got me really hard too, but we've been needing to talk about it. Like, I think everybody needs to be aware that this is happening, and this is not going to be the only episode I do on WikiLeaks for sure, because there's a lot more that was happening before these last releases in 2017. Like, this goes back 7 years past that.
This goes back, yeah.
So we've had a decade now,
even prior to that,
with some stuff to go over that. Yeah, and even before that. Yeah, I guess it was before that when it originally started happening.
It was like during the Iraq War.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's right. And then did it start coming out in 2010?
I think 2010 it picked up. They had more. I don't know.
That maybe the next time I cover WikiLeaks, I'll go back and do how it all started and what the first things were. But I kind of felt like we've done a lot of history on our government just being sneaky, and I kind of wanted something that was going to hit really close to home, and you weren't going to be able to ignore through a time haze.
Yeah.
Like, you can remember 2017.
Yeah.
This was happening.
Well, thanks, Patrick. That's spooky.
You're welcome, Dennis. Welcome to level 11 of 2020.
2 more months to go, everybody. We can get through this.
Yeah, hopefully. Hang in there, everybody. We're going to get through this.
Hang in there. We're going to keep trucking.
Hopefully things are going to get better.
I don't know.
Thank you all so much for listening. Like, rate, subscribe, tell your friends, share this episode. Freak somebody out today with this episode. Make them a little leery of their government. Do the good thing as a citizen of America. So thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Dennis, for being here. And we'll be back. Love y'all. Love you,
Bye.
Dennis.
Love you too.
You better.